From the beautiful island of Nassau, Bahamas, she is the CEO of Island Pearls International and the Vice President and Director of Sales for ZAMAR Group of Companies. Speaking on the topic, Success in an Already Successful World, hitting the refresh button. Please welcome to the stage, Kay-Andra Gardiner.
The thing about success is that you have to keep moving. It is something that you cannot do on one occasion if you want to achieve it. It's something that you keep working on every day of your life. So this morning, we're talking about success in an already successful world, hitting the refresh button. And for me, preparing for the conference, I was trying to figure out how am I going to address the audience, what I'm going to talk about, how am I going to make this practical. And my mom, who's in the audience this morning, reminded me, Kay-Andra, they chose you for this topic because you're living proof of this topic. So just want to have a real honest conversation about how to refresh and how to be successful in an already successful world. So my story, you heard a little bit about it in the intro. I'm the CEO of Island Pearls International and VP and Director of Sales for ZAMAR. Well, ZAMAR is a business that my parents started back in 1985, 32 years ago. And with the business, it's an audio-visual and production services company, the leader in the Bahamas for what it is that we do. And so growing up, my parents toiled, they worked hard, they were able to grow the company to, at the time that I joined, some 40-some employees, a contract 2 years in with the Atlantis, a contract with Grand Lucayan in Grand Bahama, a contract with the Four Seasons in Exuma, a contract with the Sheraton Nassau Beach at the time, which is now Melia. So the company was a success, had assets, everything that you could think of. So why would I come into this organization? There's no reason for me to be there. The company is a success. Of course, all of the work that they did sent me to the University of Tampa, studied accounting, worked for an accounting firm, and when that opportunity closed the door, I joined the company in 2008. I didn't have any idea of what I can offer the company because really and truly, when I joined, I was just an assistant. Someone working under the then director of sales, working on quotes, sending out emails, just doing the mundane tasks that she didn't want to do at the time. So I didn't think I had anything to offer. So one of the principles that my parents instilled was that if you're going to come into this company, you're going to have to work. You're not going to be given a title just because you're my daughter. You're going to have to prove yourself. We paid for all of this education. Okay, show me what my money is worth. So over the years, I had to develop skill, try to figure out what my path was and how I can make my life what I wanted it to be. So fast forward to now, I'm the VP and Director of Sales for a company. So walking into that environment, it taught me several lessons. So I just want to have a conversation with everyone about those lessons that I learned over the years as I've worked within the company. The first thing is that you cannot achieve success based on someone else's inspirational story. You have to create your own from your perspective. Like it was mentioned, success, the definition of success changes for everyone. And what you define as success is your perspective on it. And you have to hold steadfast to that so that you can continue to follow what it is that you want to do and follow your passion and develop that. So we're going to talk for the next few minutes about 10 keys to discovering your success. One of the first things that you have to keep in mind is that you have to always be in a learning state of mind. And learning isn't something that just happens in the traditional sense of learning. It is the time that you take to develop your personal skills, your, for example, if you want to be in public speaking, taking the time to go to a Toastmasters meeting, taking the time to work on your grammar, on your language skills, your vocabulary. It is taking the time to develop you professionally. getting and becoming a part of organizations. For me, in what it is that I do in meetings and events, that was becoming a part of the International Special Events Society, Meeting Planners International, and trying to open my mind constantly, continuously reading, putting things into your mind that gives you perspective, that keeps you going. Oftentimes you hear a person speak and they say that, you know, I know it happens to me too, but I've been working on something and I can't seem to put my mind around what it is that I want to speak on, the topic that I want to go over. But because they've been learning and things are constantly going in their mind, they wake up and all of a sudden they know what it is that they want to talk about, they know what it is that they want to say to somebody. That's because their mind is constantly in the state of learning. And you don't ever want to stop doing that if you plan to be a success. Don't be afraid of networking. Oftentimes as millennials, we work in our own little social world, but not in the real world. So if you want to be a success and you want to stay in that constant state of learning, don't be afraid to come to conferences like this. Don't be afraid to go to the socials that are happening for your industries. Don't be afraid to step out of what is your comfort zone so that you can build a circle of persons who are going to help you develop what it is that you want in your life. The second thing is know that there's room for everyone. The other day I was sitting down and I was thinking about how is it that Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's all can be successful companies. It's not that there is this magic potion as to how their businesses operate. It's because they've all understood that there is room for everybody. My taste may be different from yours. So because of that, I'm able to be in an environment and be successful. So remember that what you want to do, there's room for that. If there's an industry that you want to be a part of, find out what areas that large corporation that you're trying to emulate is not doing. There is some customer that they are not focused on. Find out who that customer is, because that is where you will get your foothold into what it is that you want to do. That is where you will have the opportunity to prove that there is room for everybody. The third thing is finding your voice. Now, when I talk about finding your voice, it isn't so much your literal voice, but it is your way of speaking to the masses, your way of putting your perspective out there. When I came into ZAMAR, okay, let me back up a little bit. Anyone who knows my family and knows our business knows that my mother is the one that really runs everything. My dad, yes, he's the operational guy, but my mom runs everything. And they say, I look like her, but I'm my dad's personality. So walking into the business, there was always this level of conflict because she's a very vibrant person. She has her voice. She knows how to state exactly what it is that she wants to see happening. She knows how she wants it done, and she's very articulate at that. Does a great job at it. She even subliminally puts messages into your mind with it as well. So she's really, really good at it. So I'm in the business and I'm struggling because my mother is my mother and there's nothing I can do about it. And she's the senior vice president and there's nothing I can do about it. And my dad says to me one day, she doesn't even know this, Kay-Andra, you're you. Just be you. So I'm like, what you mean I'm me? Just be me. And I thought about it. It took me about 2 weeks after a bunch of arguments within the company. Thought about it. And I realized that my way of communicating is in writing. I can speak, I'm doing it now, yes, but I'm not the best at it. But I write very well. So for me, my voice is in writing. If there's something that I need to communicate, I'll write you from here to the moon and back. If there's something that I just want to say, I put it in writing because that is my voice. And you have to find out what your voice is when it comes to your personal life as well as your professional world. Not every time writing will work. For me, it doesn't all the time. But that is how I most effectively communicate what my thoughts are and how I'm feeling or what needs to be done. Fourthly, define success for yourself. Generationally, success is different. For the baby boomers, those are those persons who were born up to about 1964. We won't call any of those names. Success is usually defined by the material things, the wealth, the money, the houses, the cars, what I have in this world. That's generally how they look at success. Then you have Generation X, those who are up to 1982, roughly, and it's having work-life balance. It's making sure that my family is great, and at the same time I'm making some good money, and I'm, living life in balance. For us millennials, it's not quite the same. We like to work, we like to make that money, but that's not the most important thing to us, generally. We prefer to be more social, be more out there, be able to live, and then we'll figure out how to pay for it later. So, it's different. But at the same time, there are certain principles, whether we like it or not, that transfers from generation to generation. Hard work being the key. Anything that you want to achieve, it requires some level of work. So that means when you look at success and you're defining it for yourself, you look at what it is that, from your perspective, you value most. Once you determine that, you're then able to look at the benchmarks in how you can monitor whether or not you would have achieved success. I know for my mom and dad, when we look at ZAMAR, everyone thinks that ZAMAR is a success. And while it is, for them and for what they started out in the vision that they have, there's still so much more to achieve. There's more companies that we want to work with. There's more persons we want to employ. There's more warehouse space that we want to have. So when you talk about defining it for yourself, you also have to understand and realize that that marker moves based on what you have going on in your life and the things that you would have achieved along the way. So don't be afraid to redefine what it is to be successful in your own life. Which brings me to point 5, plain word planning. So many times we hear the statement, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's really true. But when you plan, you want to make sure that it's simple. It's something that when you write it down, anyone who walks into your desk and into your area and your space can pick it up and they can understand what it is that you want to achieve. It doesn't make sense writing down these fairy tale dreams and visions and goals that you have and putting them and making them unrealistic. But if you put them down in simple words, your everyday language, it is going to be so much easier for you to achieve what it is that you want to in your life. Understand that there's nothing wrong with adjusting. We all do it. Too many times we get concerned and we look at reality and say, oh, well, I'm not where I want to be. Just adjust. That's a part of hitting the reset button. Yes, maybe I would have written down that in 3 years I want to be married, have kids and all that stuff, and 3 years later I still don't have a boyfriend, so engagement isn't an option, marriage isn't an option, or children's not an option. It's okay. But you just redefine that goal. Okay, so maybe I'll be 38 and get married and have that miracle baby with the test tube. It's okay. You adjust your life plan as you go. So don't worry about that. And understand as you go through life, it's not a failure. Earlier, April talked about what fail means. It's not failure. It's just an adjustment. And you work around it. And then when you're adjusting, you have the ability to rethink based on what you would have learned from the previous experience. Back in 2010, believe it or not, I was engaged. Thought I had found the man of my dreams. Tall, dark, handsome, educated, Bahamian, all of the good stuff. On December 31st, after putting my apartment on rent, signing a new lease, he showed up at my doorstep and said, we can't get married no more. I looked at him, because I'm very sarcastic, very. You serious or are you joking? He looked at me and said, I just drove from Alabama to Tampa. Oh, in the car that we shared because I had gotten a new car. Yeah. So I'm not joking. This is serious. Wedding, mind you, this was December 31st, was April 17th, 2010. So that means venue's paid for, dress has been bought, save the dates and invitations were in the work, cake was already figured out, seating plan, I'm a planner, naturally. Entertainment already discussed, hotel rooms, room block, all of this stuff already done. All I was supposed to be doing was moving my stuff from Tampa to the apartment in Alabama on January 2nd because I was then going to come back to Nassau for the couple months leading into the wedding. So life caused me to have to adjust. Adjusting is painful. Adjusting takes you out of your comfort zone to a level where every morning can feel like you have bricks on your head. Someone put a muzzle on your mouth and sunk you to the bottom of the ocean. Adjustments are painful. But in your process of adjusting, your mind changes, but it's only based on your perspective. If I stayed in a state of despair because this man decided to do fool, I wouldn't be in front of you today because I would have been in a defeatist mindset. When you're successful or trying to achieve success, defeatist mindset cannot exist in your same space. Your mind has to always be focused on winning. So plan. Adjust the plan, and it's okay. It's never a failure. The sixth thing that I've learned is that you have to keep your finger on the pulse. When I say keep your finger on the pulse, know what it is that your market and your industry is doing. In what we do at ZAMAR, technology is always changing, always adjusting. So if we don't keep our finger on what it is that our industry is doing, we'll be left behind. Our competitors would take over, and at the end of the day, we'll be just a bottom feeder. But we're not bottom feeders because our goal is success. So we have to understand what it is that our industry is doing. You also have to understand and recognize that it also changes. Everything is talking about change when it comes to success. It's a constant movement. If we didn't get a part or become a part of the social media world, people would not know who we are. We have clients reaching out to us from Europe who are coming to the Bahamas years in the future. But because we're on social media, for example, people know who we are. Because of word of mouth, people know who we are. Because of industry affiliations, people know who we are. You have to keep a finger on your pulse of what's happening around you. You have to understand also, in your key to discovering success, the difference between being a visionary and supporting the vision. Not everybody is designed or made to be the boss. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Some of us are designed to support the vision. But in us supporting the vision, we are success. Our financial controller, he's an Indian, came to the Bahamas over 13 years ago. By his standards, he is a success. By our standards, he is also a success. He's also a lawyer. He was able to, during the downturn in the economy, make sure that our company remained profitable. He's one of those persons that was designed to support the vision. Leadership does not equal entrepreneurship. In Bahamian society, we're always taught that everyone needs to own their own company. Everyone needs to be the boss. But not everyone has been gifted with the tools to be the boss. Some of us have to be the support. The ones that prop up the boss on the day that the boss feels like everything is just failing within the company. But because they came into the office and they saw you and they saw the fact that you were able to point out what it is that they couldn't figure out for the last 10 days, you're the support to the boss in that vision. But that doesn't mean you're not leading in your area within the company. So once you understand that you don't have to be the boss to be a success, it helps with you getting through the day. And remember that actions also speak louder than words. When you're trying to achieve success, you must be a doer. You cannot become complacent. Procrastination is the thief of time. I procrastinate with a lot of things. And my cousin, who's in the room, also will tell you that when I procrastinate, I have anxiety attacks because I procrastinate. And then when I look back at it, my time is gone. But I still have something to do. But I have to be a doer. If I want to achieve what it is that I want to achieve, if I want persons to see the work that I'm doing, I can't stop. I can't allow that mindset of procrastination to take over. My dad, when he started ZAMAR, had a blue Econoline from Ford E150 van. That van took us to school. That van transported equipment. That van broke down constantly. But because he was a doer, that one blue van turned into a fleet of vehicles that transported equipment. Because he was a doer, he did not stay complacent. Because he was a doer, he took a lot of the principles that he had learned about business and transformed one blue van into trailer heads, into box trucks, into mini vehicles. When you're young, that is your opportunity to make your mistakes in life as you're doing. You don't want to make your major mistakes in life at 50. 3 children, a mortgage, a car payment. That's not the time to make your mistakes in life. Between the ages of 18 and 35, maybe 40, maybe. That's when you can have your major mistakes because you have enough time to recover from them. That's the time that you learn your major life lessons. That's the time that if you fail at something in your mind, you're able to start over. Don't get me wrong. When you're hitting the refresh button, risk is something that's naturally innate in what happens. When you're moving forward to your goals of success, it happens all the time. But remember that you have to constantly evaluate. Like I mentioned earlier, change happens constantly. So with the plan that you would have written and the fact that you took those risks, you're always in a state of evaluation of your plan. Just like how you do performance evaluations at work, the same thing happens in real life. You assess where I'm at, where I decided I wanted to be. Did I get a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1? And if, as you're looking at the plan, you realize that I'm not where I want to be, that's when you make the adjustments and you change your plan and you work according to that. And don't be afraid to ask for help. We can't do everything on our own. Most successful people have a team around them. They have a group of people that's their support system. And those are the ones that help push them along the way. It's hard sometimes for us to ask for help because in one way or another we feel like we're incompetent. But it's not a matter of incompetency. It's a matter of recognizing that I don't have all of the strengths and I need someone else to strengthen in the areas that I'm weak. But recognize that not everyone that starts on your journey when you're asking for help finishes with you on your journey. Some people are only there for a short period of time to teach you a lesson in your process of growth and success. So you want to use wisdom and discernment when it comes to that. And you also want to have self-care. Take the time to take a break, take a breather. Accept that, yes, I achieved something. Oftentimes we focus on what we have not achieved, that we don't appreciate the things that we have achieved. And it's important that you do that because it's in those moments that you relay your level of gratitude. It's in those moments that you recognize that even though all of those negative things have happened to me, I'm not those negative things. I am able to achieve. I am someone that is a success. So just to go over those 10 keys again, just in case you don't remember them all. Have a learning state of mind. There's room for everyone. Find your voice. Define success for yourself. Plain word planning. Keep your finger on the pulse. Being the visionary versus supporting the vision, understanding the difference between the two. Your actions speak louder than your words. Constantly evaluate your progress. And finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. Hitting the reset button isn't something that you do once in your life. It is something that you probably do more often than you think you do. Because things are constantly changing within life. We have to set our bars, but we also have to be acceptant of the fact that those bars move. Thank you very much for being attentive and listening. Hope this information was very helpful for you.